Golfers, chances are that your practice is too easy. This results in the skills you are developing not showing up on the golf course or in tournament play. So, it's our goal to help you level up your practice so that swing changes stick and your best golf transfers from the range to the golf course. Now, before you dive in to the level up golf practice tasks and challenges, we have to explain a few terms that we use to help you understand and apply effective golf practice into your environment. The first term that it's important you understand is the word optimal. So, what do we mean when we say optimal? Well, we mean it's specific for you. We want the practice environment that these games, tasks, and challenges create to be an optimal one for you to operate in so you can get the absolute most out of your practice time. In order to do this, we created levels. So you'll hear us talk about levels for each task or challenge that you're going to take on. A level 1 golfer is someone who's motivated, can play golf, and is driven to get better, but perhaps they lack a little bit of competitive experience. A level 2 golfer is someone who loves to compete and wants to get better. Perhaps you want to lower your handicap from 12 to 5. Perhaps you want to start competing in more demanding tournaments. And a level 3 golfer would be a collegiate level golfer or professional golfer that really needs to push themselves and level up their practice to make the demands of the environment equal to those that they're going to face in competitive play. The next term, and debatably the most important, is the word interleave. Now, this is a word that many of you will not have heard before. So what does it mean? Well, when we ask you to interleave a task or a challenge, we're basically asking you to leave the task that you're in and enter into another task. And then we're asking you to leave the second task and come back to the first. So if you have game 1 and game 2, you'll play a portion of game 1, you will leave game 1, go to game 2 and play a portion of game 2. This is interleaving of games, tasks, or challenges. Now, for level 1 golfers, we probably won't ask you to interleave. We'll probably ask you to play the games in isolation. So whatever the rules of the game are, you just play them as they're shown. Level 2 golfers, we might ask you to interleave, change tasks after 3 or 4 shots or a round of a game. So you will hit 3 or 4 shots in a game, maybe play 1 full round of a game, then you'll leave this game and you'll go and take on another task. And then you will come back. And level 3 golfers, to make the practice environment optimal for you, we're going to ask you to probably interleave after every single shot, because this means your practice is more representative, number 1, of the demands of high-level tournament golf, and number 2, your skill level. The next term is the word spacing. So what is the spacing effect? Well, spacing is the time between each shot. And the goal of golf practice is not to get hold of a feeling and keep it. It's to actually lose the feeling and recall it, because that's what's going to happen on the golf course. So the spacing effect on the golf course is very, very big, 4 to 5 minutes between each shot. Now, the spacing effect when you practice is probably very low. A lot of you will just pull a ball, hit, pull a ball, hit. You might have the spacing effect down to 10 seconds, and this does not help you learn. This simply means you've got hold of a feeling and you're keeping it. You are not losing a feeling and learn to recall it. So, for level 1 golfers, the spacing effect can be pretty low. Just take your time and go through the game as we suggest in the video. Now, level 2 golfers, you need more space. For your practice to be optimal, you need to lose the feeling of what you're doing a little bit more than a level 1 golfer. Return back to the task and think. So you are going to have more space placed into your practice. You're going to lose the feeling of the shot more often and have to challenge yourself to recall it. And level 3 golfer, yeah, you've guessed it, we need to ramp that spacing up even more for your practice environment to be optimal. So you're going to find there's going to be a ton of spacing in level 3 practice tasks. Another term you need to be educated and empowered to understand is the word variability. So variability is simply how often do you change task in practice. Now, for a level 1 golfer, following what we suggest in these videos, that will give you the right amount of variability in your practice. Playing these games simply in isolation and just following what the coaches do will be the optimal amount of variability that you need to perform to a higher level. Level 2 golfers, you need more variability. So again, just following what we've said in these videos and interleaving the tasks how we suggest will create the optimal amount of variability for you. And level 3 golfers, obviously you're performing to a higher level, you have higher goals, higher practice demands. You need to be more stressed out in practice for your skills to show up in tournament play. Therefore, you need more variability when you practice. So you will find, if you're a level 3 golfer, that you will be changing tasks very often during these practice games and challenges. Challenge. Now we want the challenge point of your practice, again, that keyword, to be optimal. We want it to be right for you. So, a level 1 golfer doesn't interleave their tasks. They don't need to add any spacing. They don't need to add any variability to what we show in the video, because that will be the right challenge point for you to practice at. Level 2 golfers, we up your challenge point by asking you to interleave, by asking you to have more space and more variability in your practice. And of course, level 3 golfers, collegiate golfers, professional golfers, you're going to be interleaving on a regular basis. This creates masses of space, masses of variability in your practice and pushes that challenge point to where it needs to be to help you retain and transfer skills from practice to the golf course. Buy-in. What does it mean when we use the term buy-in? Well, it means you have to buy into practice. This is something that mainly we're going to be asking level 3 players to do, sometimes level 2 players. But what it means is practice cannot start until you complete a buy-in task. So before you play one of the games suggested in the manual or on these videos, you have to earn the right to do that by completing a task, i.e. buying into practice. Buy back. What does that mean? Well, ultimately for level 3 players, failure in a round or in a shot might lead to you being kicked out the game and you have to buy back in. So an example of this is you're playing game A and you fail. We're going to kick you out the game and we're going to ask you to complete a task. Maybe it's an up and down, maybe it's hole a putt, maybe it's hit it inside 6 feet from a bunker. It could be absolutely anything. And this could be designed around the specific needs of your game. But ultimately, failure in the game gets you kicked out and you have to buy back into the game through completing a task. This can add pressure stress, and chaos to your practice, especially the games that you're playing against time. If you're playing a game against the clock and you have 1 hour to accumulate as many points as you can, but you fail at a station and you get kicked out, the pressure and stress of trying to buy back in can really represent some of the pressures and stresses that you'll face in a tournament play. Closeout. What does closeout mean? Well, ultimately, what you'll do is you'll play a game and you'll establish a set score. Then, if you want that score to count, you have to close out, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4 holes, in a set score. Now, these holes can be played on the range, through simulated golf, or they can be played on the golf course. But ultimately, if you play these 3 or 4 holes and you do not achieve the standard that you set yourself, this score that you just spent time establishing will be removed and it will not count because you failed to close out the game. So it's basically an addition onto the game that represents real golf, gives you a set score that you have to work towards, and is really there to help simulate the pressure of you trying to close out a tournament. Of course, this is something that will mainly ask level 3 golfers to complete, but level 2 golfers, don't worry, we might sneak it in there for you from time to time.